All right, welcome. Today we're going to talk about a really fundamental shift that's happening in Web3. We're moving from a world where you basically have to shout your financial plans for everyone to hear to one where they can be understood and, executed completely in private. And that question right there, that's the core paradox of this whole new world. I mean, think about it. If you have a sealed envelope with your trade order, and I have a sealed envelope with mine, how in the world can someone else figure out if we're a match without opening them? It seems impossible, right? Well, stick with me, because we are absolutely going to solve this puzzle today. But before we get to the magic solution, we really need to understand the problem we're trying to fix. So first, let's take a look at how transactions work right now. The best way to picture it is to think of the current blockchain world as this giant open-air public market. And if you want to get anything done, you have no choice but to shout your order at the top of your lungs. Yeah, so this is what we call the imperative model. And it means you, the user, aren't just saying what you want to happen, like, I want to trade some token A for token B. No, you're also burdened with having to spell out the exact step-by-step instructions for how to do it. It's a huge amount of work, and as you're about to see, it's also incredibly risky. So let's just break down how much of a burden this is. For what should be a simple swap, you first have to figure out the best place to even make the trade. Then, you have to map out the exact route for the transaction, which might mean hopping between different protocols. After that, you're basically guessing what to set for network fees and trying to decide how much money you're willing to lose if the price suddenly changes. And then finally, you sign this entire detailed battle plan and broadcast it for the whole world to see. It's messy, it's inefficient, and it leaves you totally exposed. And that exposure, that leads directly to this nasty thing called MEV, or maximal extractable value. See, when you shout your instructions out in the open, predatory bots and traders can see your plan and use it against you. They can literally jump ahead of you in line to buy the asset, which drives the price up, and then they sell it to you at that new inflated price. This is the very real financial cost of having a system that's too transparent. Okay, so how do we fix this? Well, this is the first big piece of the puzzle. To solve all the problems that come with that old imperative model, we need a completely new way to talk to the network. We need a language that lets us express what we want without giving away our entire strategy. And this new language is called intents. This slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you see the old way, a really rigid command telling a specific contractor exactly what to do. But look at the right. That's a declarative intent. It's not a command. It's a set of rules. It just says, hey, this is the only final outcome I'm willing to accept. And just like that, the power shifts entirely back to you, the user. This quote right here really nails it. When you sign an intent, you're basically approving a destination, not the specific journey to get there. All that messy complexity of execution, the thing that happens in the middle, is suddenly no longer your problem. It completely flips the script and lets us outsource all that hard work to a new class of specialists. So you might be wondering, if the user isn't figuring out how to get the trade done, then who is? Let's keep going, because this is where a whole new professional class of network participants enters the scene. Let's meet the solvers. You can think of solvers as the economic engine of this new intent-based world. They are these super sophisticated systems that are constantly listening for user intents, and when they find them, they compete against each other in this massive, ongoing auction to find the absolute best, most efficient, and most profitable way to make your desired outcome a reality. This table does a great job of showing the evolution here. You can see in that first column, Gen 1 aggregators were just working with public transactions from the mempool, which is really just a public waiting room for transactions. That meant they had zero MEV protection. Then we got Gen 2 systems like CowSwap, which brought in private batches for standard tokens. That was a big step forward. But now look at Gen 3. This is the future. This is what ecosystems like Anoma are building. Generalized intents, privacy you can actually program, and the ability to work with literally any asset you can think of. It's a massive, massive leap in what's possible. Okay, so we've got users expressing what they want as intents, and we have this new class of professional solvers competing to make it happen. But for this to be a real game changer, the whole process has to be private. Which brings us right back to that original mystery. How do you match sealed envelopes? All right, here comes the big reveal. The secret, it turns out, is some seriously advanced cryptography. Technologies like fully homomorphic encryption, or FHE for short, are basically magic. Imagine you have a locked box, right? And you don't have the key. but you can still work with what's inside. You can add things to it or combine its contents with another locked box, all without ever unlocking it. That's pretty much what FHE lets us do with data. We can run computations on it while it stays completely encrypted and private. So let's see how this works in practice, using a mechanism like the one Fairblock is building. First, your intent gets encrypted into one of those sealed envelopes. Step 2, that encrypted blob gets put onto the blockchain and its order is finalized. It's locked in place. And only then, once its position in line is permanent and nobody can change it, is the intent decrypted. So by the time anyone actually sees what's inside, it's way too late to front-run it. MEV is just designed out of the system. And here is the absolute crucial point. Using these incredible cryptographic tools, a solver can look at 2 or more of these encrypted intents and get a definitive mathematical proof that they're compatible. They can confirm a valid match exists without ever seeing who is trading, what they're trading, or for how much. They solve the puzzle without ever opening the envelope. It's amazing. So now that we've solved the mystery, what does it all mean? Well, we've basically unlocked the ability for anyone, anywhere, to express complex economic desires and have them matched privately and super efficiently. And this isn't just a better way to trade tokens. It opens up an entirely new economic frontier. And this is where things get really, really exciting. This tech makes all kinds of applications possible that we could only dream of before. We're talking about on-chain dark pools, which are private trading venues for huge institutional trades that don't move the market. Or, get this, a system where businesses can automatically clear debts with each other, unlocking billions in capital that's just trapped on balance sheets. It could even be used for things like peer-to-peer energy trading between neighbors, or creating super complex hedged DeFi positions. It's a brand new design space for human coordination. I love this quote from the Anoma vision paper because it's so profound. If you think about it, we invented money because it's really hard to find someone who has exactly what you want and at the same time wants exactly what you have. That's the double coincidence of wants. But this new model uses pure computation to solve that ancient economic problem. Solvers are kind of like a universal matching engine for the global economy, forcing that coincidence to happen. And that leaves us with one last really big thought to chew on. If a powerful solver network can instantly find a match or a path to convert any asset, your house, a share of stock, an NFT, into any other asset, it completely changes the nature of liquidity. Any asset can essentially function like money. And this shift doesn't just make our financial systems better. It forces us to step back and ask a much bigger question. What does money even mean in the first place?